Good evening, everyone, and warm welcome to Geo Institute's Executive Education Masterclass series on AI for Healthcare. This is the second session of our three-part series, and today's topic is building and scaling a health tech startup. I'm pleased to introduce our speaker, Dr. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, founder of Hanuman AI, and also extend a warm welcome to Dr. Kalyan, the moderator for today's session. Over to you, Dr. Kalyan.
Thank you, Mayuri. Uh, Thank you, sir, for joining us. And a very warm thanks to all the audience for joining us. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. I have known him for slightly more than 1 year. And he is a surgeon turned entrepreneur who now leads Visi Inc. and SML Gen AI. He is also pioneering the use of meta-omics and generative AI to push the boundaries of precision medicine and enterprise AI. He has over 20 years of experience across global healthcare giants like Apollo, Fortis, and Aditya Birla, and he brings both medical and executive depth. He's an MIT alumnus with multiple advanced degrees, and he blends science, leadership, and innovation to reimagine the future of healthcare. Thank you once again for joining us, Dr. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Over to you.
Yeah. Thanks, Kalyan. Kalyan also happens to be my very favorite brother's name. So whenever I see, Kalyan, I really get very happy about that name itself. Okay. Yeah. Last year I was in Geo Institute when I was in India. So this time when Kalyan called me, I said, I'm in Austin. So what do you want me to do? Then he says, okay, you can do a webinar. And sorry that I had to last minute change the timings of the webinar because I had some personal emergency last week. And today it's fine. So I'm able to do this talk. So this personal emergency itself is a great start to a webinar series, especially on healthcare. Yeah, it virtually connects everything. I will tell you like how it looks. So I'm in US. US's healthcare is so big that it's bigger than India's GDP. So US healthcare is 4.7 trillion, which is much higher than India's GDP. It's like world's third largest economy by itself, and just 300 million people. And still, if you look at US healthcare, it's not ranked number one in the world when it comes to the quality of outcomes. It's about 20 or 25. So it's super, super expensive. And then you come to the other side of the pie, that's India, which is world's biggest population. And all put together, our healthcare would not be even more than $200 billion. Even less when it comes to, it's just like we spend 1% of India's GDP on healthcare. So it's a very contrasting thing that 1.3, 1.4 billion people are able to manage in 200 billion. And only just 300 million people have to spend 4.7 trillion. And still, people are not happy about healthcare here. You will see huge queues in the hospitals. Everything is so complex and everything is expensive. I'll tell a small example. When we just came here, my daughter had an eye infection. I'm a doctor. I can just buy some medicine in India and treat her, but here I can't do that. I have to, even to get a antibiotic, we have to, go to a hospital, get a prescription. And since we had just come, we didn't have the insurance. I go to the something called urgent care where I have to pay out of pocket. They charge me $200 for a $8, eye drops. So imagine paying something like 20,000 rupees to get an eye drop, which is like in India, we'll get it for 5 rupees or 10 rupees, 20,000. We can get cataract surgery in India. So it really blew my mind away that how does this even work? Like somebody just charges, 20,000 rupees for just prescribing an antibiotic, which could be just taken out of counter in India. So this is the contrast that happens between world's largest economy and India, which is world's biggest population. So it means that healthcare can be squeezed from 200 billion to 4 trillion, and still it doesn't improve the accessibility or the quality of care. And in all that, here comes AI out of nowhere. And then in last 2 years, it's become like when someone asks me to do some class or something, I say like, why do you need people? Just go and ask ChatGPT. It can answer anything, right? Like you will feel that you just put the topic, it will give a nice, you write like, I want to do a masterclass 60 minutes on this topic. It will give everything with the slides, and you can just prepare your class in 2 minutes, 20 minutes. So it's so easy. It's become so easy. Even for doctors also, it's become very, very easy. Like any case comes, you just put the X-ray, you'll get an answer. So like Elon Musk keep tweeting that, oh, my AI recognized this, that. So we are going to be doctors, our doctor going to be replaced by AI. Every day I see these topics across the world. So why I'm telling all this complex problem is I will tell you like what is in real. So what is AI? Something which a person who has built India's first large language model and then realized it doesn't work for AI is telling. So believe me, I'm the person who did that. So we built Hanuman, and when we use for healthcare, it didn't work. So imagine I'm saying that ChatGPT will never work, Claude will never work, Gemma will never, nothing will work. That's why they all come with a disclaimer. ChatGPT can make mistakes. Imagine you go to a doctor and then he has a disclaimer, I can make mistakes, come to me. Will you go there? No, because healthcare is not AI, healthcare is not anything. Healthcare is number one, trust and responsibility. So you go to a doctor, they're not flaunting their degrees or they're not flaunting anything. What they're telling you is, I take your responsibility. That's doctor. No AI, no technology can say that I'm taking your responsibility. I can, now I will come back to this eye story itself. So I could have asked ChatGPT, like my daughter has red eye, it would have given an antibiotic and I could have used it. In 90% times, it would have still worked. But what if that 10% times it's not that real conjunctive, simple, infection? It might be anything, red eye can be anything. 90% times it's infection, but 10% times it's not infection. It can be anything. So that 10% is where it go wrong. Doctor is taking responsibility of managing that. Yeah, I will not do that. So it will tell you something, you use it, it works, it's good. If it doesn't work, is AI responsible for that? No. AI can't take responsibility of a human. So any simple thing can be any big thing, or any big thing can be like simple thing. So that's why AI healthcare is something which I say that it's never going to replace a doctor. Only way AI in healthcare can work is when you can enable that person to do a better job. Because I will tell US and I will come back to India also. In US, the average quality of time that a doctor spends between a patient and doctor is about 15 minutes. They see like 3 patients in an hour. And if you take 8 hours, it will be like 20 patients they might see in a day. So it's very less. That's why it's so expensive. But in that 15 minutes, I have seen they spend like 10 minutes on the computer because it's EMR driven. Everything has to be entered in EMR. Like every small piece of information has to be put in EMR. So 10 minutes is going there and 5 minutes they're seeing you. And after that, many times doctors work for only 4 days because one day they have to just see that they fill all their EMR reports, because if you don't fill, then you are not going to be paid. So they spend more time on the computers. So that's the EMR that's created the problem. In India, the opposite. Like if you don't see like 100 patients in a day, you can't really make that much money for your hospital or for yourself. So you spend like very less time. So you don't write anything because EMR is not mandatory here. You can have it, but even if you write a prescription on a paper, nobody cares. So EMR there is so because it throws so much of information. If you go as a AI company and ask for data, you will get tons of data. If you can access that, there is a lot of regulation. That's another point. But there is a lot of data because everything is digitized. In India, we see so many patients, so much of data is there because it's all, everywhere, like there is no structure. You don't get any data. So if you have to build a model in India, nothing happens. You can't build a model in India. So what happens? Why I'm coming to this is I will tell you what happens. So we take only US data or else UK data, and then build models because that's where EMR is structured. And then those models, if you run for an Indian population, they don't work because they're not based on your demography. They're based in something else. So that's the EMR part. And I will come to the other part, like Kalyan told that I work on 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 and all that. So another part is the biology itself. Most of the data in biology is based out of UK genomics reports, which is based on, again, in the white population. Indian biology is not even studied, so we don't have much information about like what are the genes. So which drugs respond in which way, so many information is not there in India. So the biology of Indians is not even known. So we just take, US or Caucasian population information and then try to apply it here, thinking that all humans are same, so it should not matter. And that's the problem. So these are two big problems, which is both a challenge and I feel is the huge opportunity because of the fact that US EMR system itself is a big hindrance to AI because it's been there since last 20 years and it's huge. It's a legacy problem. There are only two companies in US, which is 𝗀𝗃𝗃 and Cerner, which virtually are monopolies. So they have all the data. And if you had an AI company, you have to go and first work with them, see that your AI works with their EMR systems. So it's a big bottleneck. It's very, very complex for a startup to do anything in AI in US because it's so highly regulated and virtually, you'll die in pilots. But in India, where there is so much digitization and everyone has a smartphone, 5G is cheapest in the world, there is a huge opportunity, especially in the B2C space, because in India, there is one major player who is not there. So in US, there are three players. There is a patient, there is a provider, which is the physician, and then the payer, because everything is insurance driven. In India, I'm the payer, you're the provider. So there is no insurance is there, but very small piece. It doesn't matter because most of the money is out of the pocket. So anything which is customer driven kind of works in India. So that's where if you see all the Indian health tech companies, they're mostly consumer driven. Not like in US, the biggest health tech company would be EMR company, which is Epic, which is we can't even value that because they don't take investments or they have not gone for the IPO. If they go for an IPO, I'm sure it will become world's first $1 trillion health tech company. It's so big. It controls 70% of US healthcare and the big any big hospital, nobody can just, work without that. It's so big. And the revenue would be like 100 billion. So that kind of company, if it goes for IPO with such monopoly, it's going to be a $1 trillion company. In India, if you look at it, there is no such big names, right? So there is no big EMR company because it's all small companies. Anybody can create an EMR and then go because there's in many hospitals have their own EMR systems, like Apollo has its own EMR system, and many hospitals build it or use startups to do that. So that was a good business few years back. Now it's like, and then came Practo, which kind of structured it in some level. That's one company I've seen. Then there are a few more companies which have come in the online pharma space. Like they became big because of the fact that Amazon was not willing to sell, or Flipkart was not selling medicine, so they needed a different approach, and it kind of worked. So 1mg and all that companies, they came, and then in India, the lab companies became big after ThyroCare went, industrial scale. They brought down the cost, so a lot of online companies came who would like say, okay, we take your blood and deliver your reports in a day. And then came this CGM companies in last 2 years, like diabetes reversal, sugar-fed, and all these companies. So 3 years back, I think it started. In US, CGM was adopted by payers. In India, it was the biohackers and influencers who made people to use CGM, and those companies become big. Now, since last 2 years, it's been like AI, ChatGPT kind of LLMs, where people are saying, can we build a company using AI? So what are the opportunities for the startups in AI in healthcare space? So how do we do that? But if you look at the reality, still there is no healthcare AI company which has become big in India. So not in just in India, but everywhere. It's not become like no company, no startup has really figured out what exactly is the business model? How do you take healthcare and build a company? So a lot of LLMs are releasing medical models. Gemini comes with 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 models, and everyone is trying to build a healthcare model, which is kind of fine-tuned with healthcare data. But the biggest challenge with healthcare models are two. One is healthcare models are stateless. Any LLM is a stateless model. Stateless in the sense, you go and ask ChatGPT one question now, and same question you ask after half an hour, it will give an answer which is similar but not the same answer. So they again reset. Whenever you ask a question, LLMs reset and then talk to you. And that creates a huge problem, because if you put an entire data sheet of a person and then keep asking the same question, it can change. It won't be very, very accurate. So that's why in AI, healthcare people still use machine learning models, which are kind of predictable by the percentage. So LLMs are just pattern seekers. They can virtually come up with any answer. So that's why no clinical grade LLM exists on Earth, because you can't assure what is going to be the output and whether it would be the same for the same person. But in healthcare, the accuracy and trust are the most important factors, the reliability. They can be approximately same, but they will never be accurate. Example, I put a CGM data of mine like for 1 month, which will have like thousands of columns. If you ask like what exactly was my CGM on particular day, it will throw an answer which might be anywhere. It might be right, it might be wrong. So how do you exactly use those kind of things in real clinical care? It's not going to happen. Second important thing is LLMs don't have memory. Yeah, there is some memory in ChatGPT, okay, where they remember your conversations, but they remember at a broad scale. They don't remember at the granular level, which is very, very useful for healthcare. Healthcare, you need to remember at the granular level. If I open my medical record, I should exactly pinpoint the number, the medicine I have taken, the dose, everything, which should be super accurate. So for that, there need to be a context. And when you go to a doctor for first visit and go to a doctor for next visit, he has that context, like what happened with you last time. That continuation memory is there. But in LLM, it won't be there. LLM will start fresh. So that's why if you see where doctors are using LLM, they're only using for some additional information context. So there is a company called UpToDate, which kind of helps doctors in getting the latest information, like latest guidelines for this particular disease. So that company is really doing well, because what they do is they make doctors get the latest guidelines. So nobody can remember what is ADA guideline of 2025. So they say, okay, we update our model with those latest guidelines. So when you are prescribing, you can just refer to it. And there is another company which went viral. So that's the only company which became a unicorn last year. So that business model was simple. So much of additional clinical research is published every year, every month, every day. So how do doctors keep abreast? So if you're a super specialist working on a particular disease, what is the latest information you can get? So they keep updating their engine with all the latest PubMed articles. And then once you are using it, so you get today's latest information. So that company is used as a prescription in US. It really went viral. So I think so it's evidence-based medicine. So if you look at it, the business model is you don't need to be super accurate. You are not using any patient data, but you are just like using the latest information and giving to the doctors for them to take the decision, rather than coming in the way of medicine and saying, okay, I'm going to take the decision. So these two business models have really worked with LLM. And then there is another company called Glass, which kind of helps doctors create their notes because notes making itself is a very expensive thing and time taking. To what Glass does is they make notes. And another company which is really done well recently in US healthcare is called Abridge, which kind of summarizes doctor's notes. In US, what was happening was a patient comes and then the entire conversation was recorded. It was sent to a company in India who transcribed that, sent the notes back. It was a big business. So these people it came out of MIT only. So what they said is, okay, we'll summarize your notes, we'll record your conversation, and instantly you'll get the summary. And you can see, edit, and then say, okay, if its summary is fine, then close it. So this average is also doing very well in US. So these are the latest companies which have done well. But if you look at India, these counterparts are not there. The counterpart of average is not there. The counterpart of evidence-based medicine company is not there. And the counterpart of Glass is also not there. So these are the potential opportunities for India to really tweak it. Because in India, there will be nuances. Imagine average coming to India and the patient is talking in Hindi, English, Tamil, Telugu. It won't work. In the US, either patient talks 70% times in English, 30% times in Spanish. That's it. There's only two languages you need. They're very good languages to understand because LLMs do very well. But in India, that's the challenge. So this multiple language, even doctor will be like speaking in multiple languages to a patient. So it's a complex problem to solve. So if you take the medicine and if you take the language, you kind of combine it, then it's going to be a real killer here. It's an advantage. But you have to wait for the market to really release some very good voice models which have multiple languages. My close friend Ankur has really done well in that. So their company is called Corover. They have released the voice models in various Indian languages. It works amazingly well. So I would say, I would take that example and build a bridge in this class so that it kind of works. So two things are to be done. You take any open source model, LLM, like say you can take Llama or Mistral or anything. Even some Indian models are also there. So what you do is you tune those models with the Indian guidelines because Indian guidelines are totally different than US guidelines and the problems we face. Because in US, if I say, okay, I have a cough, nobody will suspect TB because it's super rare. But in India, TB can be one of the major reasons. Like Indian prevalence of diseases is totally different. So 40-year-old with the diabetes is very rare in US. In India, it's like super, super common for diabetics to be in the 40s. So these are the few nuances which we have to tweak and then make these models understand. So you tweak with Indian data, then Indian guidelines, and then use these voice models, and we have a real Indian prototype. So how do you go build a prototype and then use it? In India, the good and bad, I'll tell you, US, it's very, very highly regulated. There is entire FDA thing which needs to be addressed, and it's very expensive to do that. But in India, it's not so highly regulated. Otherwise, you would not have seen sugar fits and all just come into the market saying diabetes reversal. In US, still date, there is no company which claims I can do diabetes reversal. So there are only wellness companies who ask you to use CGM, but they call themselves as wellness. I'm just doing wellness, no clinical. Like diabetes reversal, that word is not used in any health tech company. There is only one company called Varta, which kind of does diabetes remission, but they say we do only low carb diet kind of, and they have proved it in very large trials that their low carb diet works. And it took them years to publish that, and then they have become a company. But Sugarfit has published nothing. It just became a company. So it's kind of I can say a gray area in the regulation in India where a wellness kind of company could just advertise saying that I can do diabetes reversal, which can't happen in US, but in India it happened. So people like there are 10 companies which came with that. I don't know how many are still there in the market, but Sugarfoot is one which I clearly remember because they do a lot of advertisement. I still get advertisement from them. It's a market-driven company. So now doctors talking to patients, and now you can say like, who is bothered about all this? Why would anyone pay if I create an average? Because in US, average has huge market because doctors have to write notes, submit to the insurance company. Why would a clinician sitting in the other end having his clinic would even bother about writing all this, paying you something and then creating these notes? He writes something and then he forget. But having said that, hospitals are the biggest players here because hospitals have to spend notes, have to create the file system. So that's where this market is. This market is not there in clinics, but it's there in big hospital systems where you can really create a pilot in at least one hospital and then prove that this works. Its accuracy can be worked out. And the good thing about this is it can really scale up because now you start with something like as simple as taking your notes. But what prevents us from getting additional data? So creating something which will also add the data of their investigations and their X-rays. Everything can be slowly incorporated in that. Because if you look at hospital, the biggest challenge is patient comes with huge files, like they bring like 10 files, and doctor has to go through that. If it doesn't go through that, patient will feel bad, but doctor knows that it's so much of time waste. Like they would bring everything which is available. If you go to a specialist, patient will think, let me take everything because a doctor needs to know and doctor doesn't have time. And sometimes it's not even relevant. It's all like, some 10-year-old data. Why would you need that? But patient expects the doctor to see that, doctor kind of sees it. So it's wastage of time. So this is where there is another opportunity where you can easily create something which can turn all the patient data and then keep it as a very simple to use format for a doctor to just understand what has happened with me. If it is a diabetic who has been on medicine for last 10 years, a lot of information can be just given in one sheet where you know exactly, like you are referred to a specialist, he has to see one sheet. So that can be easily done using LLMs. They can just take all your information, just collate it, and then create one page. So, but there the challenge would be who is going to look at the accuracy of what LLM has done. So that's where a lot of manual work should happen. It's not like you give it to LLM, it churns and everything comes out. There has to be some human feedback that, okay, whatever it has given is something accurate. Somebody has meted it and then, so that's where India can really do well because even if you put humans to do it, like it's not going to be expensive. But in US, uh, if I offer this kind of product where I had to put humans, investor will say no, I can't. Like no human intervention, it won't scale. It's going to be expensive, and then again those humans have to come from India, or else you have to get from 𝗔𝗃𝗏𝗃, all the drama starts, like that's where. So all the 𝗔𝗃𝗏𝗃 is not going to affect India. Business has to come to India, jobs have to come to India because it's very, very expensive to hire anyone in US, even for a coffee shop. I have seen like Starbucks close their coffee or like open only 5 days a week because they can't hire people. There are no people to work here. And saying that don't come foreigners, we will manage ourselves is a very big joke here. It won't work like that. So jobs are going to come to India if you don't need to go to 𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃, H1B, the H1B job is going to come here. It's not going to be replaced. So yesterday I was meeting someone who has like created a very big system, and he was saying that, and he's an American, and he was saying that, see, no country can survive without India. Forget about it. Whatever we do, it's just like politics. India is the place where everything is going to happen, and then that's where all the jobs are going to be created. So he has a very simple dictum: all the things will be created in China, all the jobs will be created in India because we have that humans brain power who can do jobs for any country. So it's a detour. I will come back to that. So this is this is where, healthcare, we have to be like off-the-shelf LLM will never work in healthcare, at least at this level. There has to be a trust and responsibility, which can only come from a human. So the solution should be like what problem I am solving, rather than like, okay, I will go and implement AI for healthcare. It's not the real way of looking at it. It's a very simple dictum which I was taught in MIT. For day one, I went, my professor said, he has all the class, like, what do you want to do? At that time, blockchain was super big. So everyone said, oh, we want to create a blockchain company in supply chain. We want to create a blockchain company in healthcare. Said, don't use blockchain. In 2 years, blockchain will go, some other technology will come. What will remain is the problem. So the best thing is take the problem, solve it. Whatever technology works, use it, rather than saying, I will use this technology to solve this problem. No one technology solves a problem. If you look at any big company which has created a beautiful solution, it will be a mix. Okay, it might be AI main, but or it won't be AI only, because you need much more than AI. Enter ChatGPT needs much more than AI. Till they hired someone from Netflix to create their UI UX, it didn't go viral. So it means UI UX is still important even for a ChatGPT, right? Like same, like every company will have everything going in the tech part to create a solution. So what problem are you solving with AI is if you know that, then you can say, okay, I will use AI here, but other parts have to be really worked out. So on the off-the-shelf LLM is never going to work, at least at this stage. We need people to really say yes or no to what it has really done. So that's where human intervention is still needed. So LLM is not still ready for like off-the-shelf use. Already autonomous cars have come in US. So now in Austin was the first place where they started this. So they deliver a car which comes without a driver. So you order a car online, next day car is standing in front of your home. It has no driver. That's amazing. That's happening. And in middle part of the Austin, no drivers. So Tesla will come without a driver. You can sit, it will drop you back. But they call that area as geofencing. It works only, so the regulation is it works only in that area. You can't take that outside that geofence, but inside geofence, Tesla cars don't have drivers. Same thing in Los Angeles and San Francisco. Waymo and other company, Zoox, they have this geofences where there are no drivers. Autonomous cars are coming. But the problem is they have to geofence, take regulatory approval for each place, and they have to show that it works without accidents for these millions of miles, and all that thing is there. Uh, but in healthcare, this is not going to still happen because it's not that structured. So you need human intervention here, and a doctor who can understand healthcare, and LLM is going to be like really the key factor, because there will be only two kinds of doctors going forward: people who can use LLM, people who can't use LLM. The specialization itself will be divided into these two big categories. If you can leverage LLMs, it's a big, big advantage. And that's what I feel will also be a powerful factor. All these years, technologists were creating AI companies or healthcare companies, health tech companies. This is a huge opportunity for doctors themselves to create these companies, because you don't need to do much, even like AI codes, right? So, but AI, what AI can't do is understand the nuances which a doctor brings to the table. I feel this is flip is happening. Doctors can really understand technology very easily using AI these days and then create. But what doctor knows is what matters here. Technology is all, going to be automated. Coding will come. All this information will come. But as I was telling, right, you take 10 pictures of your data and then give it to LLM, it will give some summary. But if you're a technology person, how will you know if it is real or not, where it has gone wrong, where it has done right? That's where your expertise come. So only doctor can say what is right or what is wrong. So that's where this advantage of a doctor creating a product really comes in. So I'm very happy that Kalyan said that more audience are representative from the medical fraternity. That's why I'm telling this. So there is a huge opportunity in the market where doctor-driven technology can really come in because doctors know what they want. All these days, you had to go to a technologist to explain to them, or a technologist had to build something for doctors. Today, doctors can really sit. And the latest crop of doctors are so well versed in technology. I'm sure like the next unicorn in here healthcare is going to be a doctor-driven company, like, doctor founder, which I would really look at it with a lot of, enthusiasm, because I'm seeing like which doctors are going to come, because I am part of large AI communities where doctors are talking a lot that we want to create this, that. I'm sure like something is going, at least in radiology, I'm seeing a group working very well. Yeah, they might come with something very big because radiology is up there for disruption with AI, because image models are huge, especially the digital pathology has already created large companies in US. They have digitized the pathology reports, and our models are built on that. So Microsoft released a model a few months back, which has really become very good. So this is another opportunity which is there for doctors, because it needs a lot of human intervention when they are making the models. We have to see that how accurate are they. They have to annotate and all that. So it can't be done by a technology company. It has to be done by doctors themselves. All the other stuff is totally easily done, automated. LLMs, fine tuning, RAG, everyone knows it. What they don't know is how accurately this is predicting your radiological image. So that's another place where there is a huge opportunity for India, because we can get a lot of data. In fact, Google takes a lot of data from Indian hospitals. In fact, their X-ray model has huge data, which is taken from Indian patients, and I think they have worked with Apollo hospitals. So for India, this is the big opportunity. The number of X-rays and ultrasounds and digital pathology images India would have is much more than what a US would have. But the problem is the structure is not there, like annotation, how do you access that? It's all piecemeal, it's in 10 different hospitals. So there is no place where we can get access to all this. That's the challenge. Though data is there, it's in very siloed places. So that's the challenge. If we can break that, there is a huge opportunity for India to get this. So to sum it up, what I want to say is, of the self LLMs are not going to work. So there is a lot of human intervention which is needed, because LLMs are stateless and LLMs don't have memory. And technology becomes easy because of LLMs. There's the opportunity for people who understand healthcare to really create products, because they know what they want. They can do it by themselves. You can lead the company. You don't need to depend on your CTO to create a company. You can use them, but you can always, guide that. Third important point is LLMs will be pattern seekers. They'll do a lot of mistakes. So that's where, real expertise comes, where you can say whether this output is real or not. If you factor in these three things and also add a nuance of lot of languages in India, it's a potential product which is there in offering and which can solve a lot of Indian healthcare problems, because Indian healthcare is a very different beast because of the fact that there are big hospitals who kind of market for patients. There are a majority of patients who don't get access to these hospitals. You imagine that, right? This is a very difficult situation. Or else, why would India depend on medical tourism when Indians themselves don't get, care? Like 500 districts don't have cath labs in India. So it's like nearly 70% of India doesn't have cath lab. So, but still, if you come to a hospital in Delhi, they will be waiting for patients. They will be doing marketing. They will be getting medical tourist patients, because this patient doesn't mean that capability. That's the biggest challenge, which is the complex problem I think somebody should really solve it. So, yeah, I think now it's time for questions. I would be very happy to answer in last 15 minutes.
Thank you, Dr. 𝗏𝘀𝗀𝗏𝗀. Very, very broad and in many parts very deep talk.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a lot of questions on my WhatsApp. So one common theme that people want to know is, I'll actually read out the question. Is the future of healthcare clinical decision making LLMs that they will take over the operational heads, giving us back our patient time, or they will exist
Yeah.
as a shadow doctor, or is there another
Mm.
scenario you foresee?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great question. In fact, like it's a wonderful question. I will tell you like how it works. Um, See, there are three things. Already, what is happening is doctors are using LLMs in their clinic. I'm sure about it. All of you are using, right? But you will never accept it that I use this. You're using it off, like kind of. So then comes the clinical decision support system, which Microsoft came with something called Dragonfly. But it's a most of an administrative task. It's not even claiming itself as the clinical decision support system, because clinical decision support system itself is something which needs to be explained. How do you explain the output of an LLM? You can't explain because it's just a pattern seeking machine. It will just bring data and put it in front of you. It won't explain where it got it from. And because it is not repeatable, that's going to be a challenge. The same question, same patient you ask, it will give a different answer. If you, so that's, and it can give a long answer, short answer. It can do anything. It's very varied. So that's why clinical decision support system is not so easy, though it looks very feasible because of the fact that LLMs really do a great job. Like you ask, like they give a lot of good answers. But the problem is approvals. Nobody will approve this output because it's not going to be like explainable. So that's the biggest challenge, which is preventing real clinical decision support system based out of LLMs. So how do you crack that is going to be a multi-billion-dollar business? I'm not going to tell that. It's a secret sauce, but this is the problem statement I'm giving. Like LLM CDSS is not going to happen because regulation will not give approval because you can't prove it. It's accurate because it's repeatable. It has to repeat always, same answer should come. Second point is it should also be explainable. If it tells like this is that, how is it going to explain? Okay, you can say, okay, it's based out of guidelines. It can give some, uh, you know, it can say, okay, I picked it from this guideline, but still I will tell you, it can create a guideline also. It can hallucinate and create a guideline also. So don't believe LLM when it says I picked it from it. So have to go back and see whether even that what it quotes, the paper or that guideline, whether it exists or not, because they can do that. So till hallucination problem is there in LLM, CDSS is going to be a tough problem. So that's why I give that example of two companies where they're helping doctors to just understand the latest data, which is not clinical decision support system. It's just like, getting the information. So that's where LLM is stopped. But the next step is going to be clinical decision support system, but somebody has to solve these three problems there. Then only CDSS is going to come. Yeah.
Oh, very nice. We have Dr. Raghavendra who has a question. He asks, are there any incubation centers in India that support AI in healthcare startups?
Oh, like NASCOM itself is a big proponent. See, anybody wants any support like this for incubation centers, please ping me. I can give you 10 different places where they're doing that. Number one is NASCOM. NASCOM itself has a AI Foundry where they recently launched their class of like 30. I think this is running 3 years. One of my very close friend runs it. They're very good. Like they really help you a lot in incubating your companies. And a doctor-driven company, they would surely look at it. And many places like that. Yeah.
Wow, I'm sure that got a lot of people in our audience very excited. Is it okay if I share your email, or I'll share your LinkedIn profile with the audience?
Yeah. Yeah, well, but LinkedIn is best because I am
Best.
very,
I can
I
imagine
frequently see my
there
LinkedIn.
would be
So
multiple things that you would be. So
yeah,
Shivam Arora is asking us, what recent advancement in AI do you believe will have the maximum impact on healthcare?
yeah. Um, the the biggest thing LLMs are going to solve. In fact, already you can see that happening. the protein problem, protein folding, AlphaFold got Nobel Prize. See, all the drugs and biomarkers are mostly proteins. So this is where LLMs are going to be a big change, because what would take years and billions of dollars can be done with LLMs, creating multiple proteins and even simulating them and seeing like how it works. So clinical research and drug discovery, these are the major things which are going to be solved by LLMs. The other thing is the quite opposite side of it, the administrative tasks, which are like so redundant in the hospital. At least in the US, I'm seeing a lot of work happening there. They are going to be solved. And in India, it's going to be surely about the language itself, because that's a major problem there. So LLMs can really solve the language problem of creating that simplified interface where you can, talk and give information to a patient in your own language, because every medicine happens in English. So imagine like a lot of opportunity there where you can, do medicine in other languages.
Fascinating, sir. There are a bunch of questions around what advice would you give. So I'll just do it as a part A and part B. So one piece of advice that you would like to give to the undergrad student who wants to break out into healthcare AI, one piece of advice for the would-be entrepreneur who's been doing some stuff now and wants to change tracks.
Yeah. So I will go with the undergrad first. So undergrads have huge opportunity here because of the fact that they're still not started the practice. They are not developed that, and I think so they can start from scratch. So LLMs can really make them very powerful if they know how to use them in their clinics after they become doctors. Because forget about all that. Even like preparing for a PG exam, LLM are going to be really useful to you. So, in fact, I'm wondering why there is no company which has come out of LLM preparing people for the PG exams, or that's a huge opportunity. So that's one thing. And for an entrepreneur who is in healthcare, so I think I answered this question in my talk only. I see a huge opportunity for doctor entrepreneurs to really create big companies in healthcare, because they're the authorities here. You can tell LLM that what it gave is right or wrong. No other profession can do that. So that's the opportunity which I feel a doctor who can understand technology can really use LLMs to create this company. So doctors, entrepreneurs, really they understand their use case well. LLMs takes out all the problem of bringing tech into the company, so it does it. So that problem is solved. So now you have to just see that you're solving the problem properly, which only a healthcare or a doctor can understand, like how it's been done. So it's a huge advantage there for doctors.
And I think that's some timeless advice you gave, even in the earlier part of your talk, that don't focus so much on the tool, focus on the problem.
Yeah.
Because the tool would come, the tool would go, but I think, and I think that's nowhere is it truer than in healthcare.
Exactly, because see, healthcare, there are no technologies in healthcare. It's all about healthcare is nothing but solving diabetes is a healthcare, right? So you can use medicine, you can use pharma, you can use tech, you can use CGM. Anything is just solving that problem, right? So there is nothing like AI in healthcare. So you have to cure diabetes or you have to treat cancer. That's what healthcare is. So whatever else so even health technology also changed a lot, right? They used to take X-rays only. Now it's MRI, NMR, so many. Whole multi-omics itself is a big thing, which was not even there like few years back. Nobody was even using those words. Today it's all over. Like so, it's only solving a problem rather than saying, okay, I want to create a multi-omics AI company. No. Yeah.
We have a very interesting question from one of our audience members, Dr. Major Satish Jeevan. So he's also the founder of a medtech startup which has developed an AI steth, one of India's first AI-enabled smart stethoscopes, and they have screened more than 60,000 patients in primary healthcare clinics. And they're now working on the respiratory disorder segment. Wow, Dr. Satish. That's very inspiring. So his question is, do you think we should focus on solving India emerging markets access affordability, but to pay for the services is low, but ability to pay for the services is low, or Western world use cases like EMR, scribing, ambient use cases?
Yeah, it's a great question. See, I'll tell you, I don't know if you want to do it or dare it, this is my challenge. Build in India, make money in US. I told you, like $4 trillion problem. In India, the problem is people don't pay, and we don't even expect them to pay, because like whatever people can pay is captured by big healthcare hospitals. That's why they do so well. But that's the only money that's there. For all the other things, there is no money, because whatever goes to the sickness care. When you get super sick, you have to spend money. People sell their land and then do that. So there is no option. Hence, the money for all this is not there. It has to come from government, which is very meagerly spending on healthcare, less than 1%. So the challenge for India is like, we have a lot of data. We have easy access to patients where we can go and do this. In the US, Dr. Shiva, whatever you have done would cost like $100 million to do 60,000 patients. It's impossible to do. You have all that data. The problem is, okay, now if I go to US, they will ask like Indian data has. So like, can you prove it? It's going to be a challenge, but you don't need that much big data in US. Even if you do it on 600 people, still it works. So, but this 60,000 people's data is going to give you a huge advantage, because you already have built something like this. So you have to launch the US market. But the challenge is, how do you enter US market? Who is going to help you? Where are the places where you do that? In fact, that's where again 𝗔𝗃 comes. We have a very good incubator in Pittsburgh where we can launch this kind of companies. In fact, like we can use your thing in our stack itself. So try us, just give your information. I think US is a great place, but the problem is cracking the US market is super, super tough sitting in India. But if you can do that, it's a big market. They pay you very well compared to what happens in India.
This brings me to the last part of the day, and also with something of a heavy heart, I ask you the last question of the evening. A heavy heart because
Yeah,
there are so many questions people want to ask you, and sir, expect your LinkedIn to be flooded with queries.
yeah.
The question is, what is one bold prediction for healthcare India 2035 that you would make?
So what I will tell is, India will do something like UPI or Aadhaar for healthcare, because we have not built anything. We have an opportunity to leapfrog all that. EMRs are the big drag for the rest of the world, the developed countries. They're dragging them back because they can't bypass EMRs. India hasn't built EMR, so directly we can use AI. So India will be in the forefront in two places. One is the omics place. The other place is using futuristic AI. Today's AI is not great, but the one which will come later. So India will be using that. So in fact, don't be surprised if in 2035, India is leapfrogged everyone like it has done in finance, in healthcare. That's my bold prediction. And I'm part of it, so that's why I'm predicting. So like you'll see that in 10 years, India will be doing much better than lot would have imagined, in healthcare at least.
Fantastic, sir. Yeah, I think all our audience members also share the same optimism. And thank you so much, sir, for giving us your time. And I know that you have had a very, very hectic week, but it was very kind of you to share your experiences with all of us.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, my dear admissions team. You have helped put this together. And also, of course, our lovely audience. Let's stay connected. There is still one more masterclass to go. And of course, all of you are by now aware of the AI in Healthcare Executive Program that we're conducting on 9th, 10th, 11th. More details on our website. See you in the next masterclass, and excited to see you also in the Executive Program. Have a great evening, everybody.
Yeah.
And thank you, sir.
Bye.
Very special
Bye.
thanks to you.
Yeah. Nice talking to all of you. Thank you.